It's one of the perks of the job when you get a chance to spend some time with someone you're a huge fan of, and I am a huge fan of Mark Greaney. You should be as well and read his books, the Gray Man books, because they'll hook you right off the bat. It's a pleasure to have him on the show, and we'll talk about his new book, Agent in Place, which, by the way, you should have by the time the show's over today. Get out and get yourself a copy. Download it, buy it, whatever you need to do. Mark, good morning to you.
Hi, Riley. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
What a pleasure it is to have you on the show. If I could begin with just one quick critique, that is,
okay,
you don't write fast enough, man.
People say that to me, and you know what? I've written 2 books a year every year since 2009, and my books I haven't written a book under 500 pages in about 5 or 6 years, so I beg to differ because it feels like I'm working, but I get it. I'm a reader too, so sometimes when you catch up with somebody's series, you just sit there and look at the calendar like, what is this guy doing? Stop eating breakfast and write your book.
Right, and that's the terrific thing about when I started reading your books, which was, I just want to say, maybe 6 months ago, something like that. I'm a big Lee Child fan and a fan of the Jack Reacher books. Well, I had blown through those, and I'm like, all right, I'm looking for somebody. It doesn't need to be the same thing, but I want something. And a friend of mine said, oh, you got to check out The Gray Man. I think it'll be right up your alley. Well, he was, considering I polished it off in, most of an afternoon. And then that's the great thing about starting a series like yours is I looked and went, oh, there's all those books to read. Now I was...
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's so important to me that each book stands alone on its own. You don't have to read the first 6 books to read this one. But at the same time, I like to sort of reward people that read the whole series with kind of a longer story arc where you learn about how the characters develop along the way.
It's really important to me that you confirm that you in no way, shape, matter, or form are even close to being done with this series, right?
No, absolutely not. I'm working on Mission Critical, which is book 8. And that'll be out next year, and I hope there's more after that. They're fun to write.
Now, what about a motion picture presence here? My son, who's also a giant fan of your books as well, he and I were talking, we'd love to see a Netflix sort of series where you can really flesh out Court and everybody in that world and do it to where you spend more than 2 hours with them. But I'm sure that, a movie wouldn't be a bad idea either. Are you looking in either direction?
Yeah, it's more than that. Right now, Sony Pictures has the rights to the series. They had a 3-year option, and they exercised their right to buy it outright, and so they did that last year. And I know they're working with a director and a script. I agree with you. It would be really fun to see it as a series. Like I've been watching The Punisher on Netflix or whatever, and it takes you a little bit deeper into the story each time. If it's a franchise film like Sony wants to do, then you get, every couple of years you get another installment of it, so that would be good too.
That would be great. You have an idea on who you'd like to see play Court?
I would like Chris Pratt, and I know at one point the studio was interested in him too. I don't know, I don't have any say in it or anything like that, but I think he'd be a good choice. I like Bradley Cooper. There's a few people that I would be more than happy with. In the role. Outstanding.
Yeah, my son and I were talking about that. He's like, who do you think would be the lead? I said, well, I don't know. We're going to ask Mark because, his vote probably carries a little more weight than ours does.
Not much. I think
Agent in Place is one of these books. I find myself, I'm learning a lot as I read Agent in Place. I'm about at the 3/4 point. I have not finished it up yet. But I've learned an awful lot about Syria, for one thing.
Yeah, I did a lot of research. I didn't want anything to be in the book that didn't need to be in there. It's an espionage novel and an action novel and a good spy and counter spy novel. So I didn't want to turn it into like a political science book, but I needed to understand that area to write about it. And to the extent that I want to put my hero into this very difficult situation, into this quagmire, and have him try and do the right thing, I wanted to be able to explain that, to kind of distill that down and explain it to readers in a way that was very palatable.
And you have. It's made a lot of sense. So for people who have looked at that mess over there and gone, I don't understand. I don't know what side is what, and it's very confusing. It's that way for people who are there.
Yeah, it is incredibly complicated. And the Lebanese Civil War was like that too, and the things that happened in the Balkans in the 90s. You see these things, and people aren't wearing white hats and black hats. The bad guys have other bad guys against them, and the good guys, might make pacts with people that we as Americans would, not want them to associate with at all. So it's a difficult situation, but I wanted to understand it and represent it as much as I needed to tell this story.
We're spending some time with outstanding author Mark Greaney. His 7th installment of the New York Times bestselling Gray Man series is Agent in Place. Seriously, you guys, you're going to want to grab this, but do yourself a favor, grab the whole stack and just go through them, because the minute you're done with this, you're going to want more of them. I was reading, Mark, that you have done traveled to more than 15 countries. I know you do a lot of heavy research. But trained alongside military and law enforcement, use of firearms, battlefield medicine, close-range combat tactics. That's got to be a thrill.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. For this book, I've done a lot of pistol courses and carbine courses and small unit tactics things, but I've never done any long-range sniper shooting. So for this book, I bought a sniper rifle and went out to Virginia and learned how to shoot out past 1,000 yards, because there's a lot of sniper craft in this book. And so that was my main firearms research for this book. But they're all sort of informed by the fact that I go to a lot of schools and train, as you said, around people in the military or cops and things.
Now, there's nobody quite like Cortland Gentry, the Gray Man, but have you met people who are similar to him in your research?
Yes. Actually, not research, a fan of the books told me about somebody that he used to serve with in the military that is now in the intelligence field. And then I spent some time with this guy because he was a fan of my books as well. And then I think I'd already written 3 Gray Man books, so he wasn't like my impetus for the Gray Man. But once I met him, I was like, yeah, this is about as close as I'll probably ever meet. I have friends who were in Delta Force and the SEAL teams and stuff like that, so they're all very, very interesting guys. But the idea of the Gray Man is he's this sort of unassuming looking guy who can sort of slip in and out of things without being noticed. So he's not, he's not the big macho military guy.
No, and he bleeds, and that's one of the interesting things with the character that you don't see in a lot of other thriller and espionage sorts of books. Your guy is very he's vincible. I mean, your guy bleeds and gets banged up a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Like, I love the Captain America movies, but I don't want the Gray Man to be Captain America. Things hurt, and he can't defy the laws of physics in his action. I definitely push the envelope with the action. They're very action-heavy stories, and a lot of it could be a little bit improbable, but not impossible. It's still a credible story, and he does suffer along the way, unfortunately.
And seriously, it's one of those books, actually the entire series is this way, that you say to yourself, all right, I know I got to go to sleep. I'm just going to read a couple of more pages. My alarm goes off, Mark, at about 3:15. About 10:45 last night, I went, all right, man, you got to put the book down or you're going to yawn during the interview.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. I like to hear that, because first and foremost, I'm a reader, so I know that experience of, reading a book and being so wrapped up into it that you push other things out of the way. So it's nice to know that other people feel that way about my writing.
Got to tell you, absolute huge fan. My entire family is, and most people I end up talking to, if we talk anything about books, I steer them toward the Gray Man and your work. It's just really, it's that good, continues to get better, and you better just not stop writing. I would like to have a talk with you in 20 years to see where Cortland Gentry is wound up.
That's a deal. I'd love to do that, too.
Outstanding. Mark, really, I know you're on a schedule. You're talking other places as well. Thanks for taking time for being on with us this morning. Best of luck with this and the entire series, and really whatever else you decide to put pen to paper on. I'll be there to read it.
I appreciate it, Riley. Thanks for reading.
Thanks. Have a great day.